Welcome back to Arcasand's Sandcastle Building Workshop Series. We're glad to have you back. We're now on to the third video in the sequence. Video 1 was this beautiful tower here behind us. Video 2 was how we did the stairway and the road. And now video 3 is going to be how we create a village setting up here within this kind of blank and neutral area of sand. The first thing I do when I start to do a village is I want it to be organic, and I want it to be kind of nestled into the hillside and into the rocks. So to get it to be nestled into the hillside and the rocks, it means that the buildings are going to have kind of a different orientations as they kind of find their home in the hillside. So I'm going to turn this rock here into a village building, and I'm going to have its face be angled this way a little bit, and then I'm going to have parts of buildings over here where their faces are angled differently to help create that variety. I like this nice strong architecture and vertical buildings intertwined in this organic setting. So that's going to be the center line of my building, and I know it's hard to visualize now, but I'm going to hand pack some sand up here to kind of create a roof cone or a top portion and raise it up out of the ground a little bit. All right, so I've hand packed this shape up, and I'm just going to literally trim off the front of it. And now I can find this vertical line again. It's a little gelatinous still, but not for long. So I'm kind of rediscovering this vertical line that I had put in before, and that then allows me to strike a horizontal line. I'm going to bring this eave down a little bit further, and then strike my horizontal line here between eaves, and that essentially gives me the framework to make a balanced building. And I'll use the bigger tool, and I'll find this shape really quite quickly with the larger tool. This is that block out phase. That's so important. You get this phase right, the rest is a lot easier. So that's looking pretty good for a block out. And okay, we have ourselves a pretty good shape for our building, for our village building. And we've got it scribed for our alignment, so we've got a good idea of the alignment. I've checked it for level in this direction. I've checked it for level on top for the roof. All these kind of little mini confirmations for making sure it's level and straight are really important. I actually use the level to essentially help shape the roof plane, makes it flat. Okay, so with that, we're going to actually start to put in the eaves, and essentially the eaves live in this world here, like that. And in this case, I was able to sneak a little bit more out of this building, so I'm going to take every little bit I can get and make it a little bigger. I think the bigger buildings gives you more room to get windows in it and stuff like that. So I'm now going to describe the vertical wall line, and this becomes the plane for the wall. And I'll do the same thing on this other side using the level. It starts to essentially separate the building from the landscape, and I think it helps to separate it a little bit more. So in this case, I'll take this part of the building back quite a bit into the rockscape, and that makes these buildings really turn three-dimensional, and they essentially get bigger, which I think is a good thing too. So from here, I can actually take this plane back so that these roof eaves stick out. And I think it's important that those stick out. It's a better looking building. I do it virtually for all my buildings. The better the sand, the more you can get these eaves to stick out. If you're working with beach sand that's not very good, then you're not going to have so much luck. But here with this sand, I'm going to have quite a bit of luck. And then I'm going to grab a bigger tool and take this all the way down to the ground. And I still want to maintain that road, and I'll connect this building to the road here pretty soon. I don't want to lose my tools, so I'll stick them up in the air like this so they don't get buried, and I'll be able to find them and not step on them. That's a standard that we abide by and we teach in our workshops. And I'll take the building back in here too. That kind of makes it look pretty cool. There's kind of a fine line between it going too far back or not far enough. And that just becomes something that you just look at intuitively, and you have to make that decision as an artist. What's starting to feel right for you. All right, so from this point, we're going to relay out our grid lines on the building. Well, this time we're going to be thinking about putting windows in this village, and I would like a band of windows that basically sits in the center of the roof eave. That's pretty common. We'll have the top window be up here, and then this is about another story. We'll do another window, and at this point we can actually do windows next to it. That can live kind of out here. So I essentially lay them out, and then from there we carve the windows. So there's a little bit of a glitch here in alignment. And then I want to extend these lines down into the piece and have these windows also extend down toward the bottom with alignment. So these grid lines really help us keep the consistency with the windows, if that makes any sense. I could measure them and make sure that they were all exactly the same size. And for some projects we get very specific about them and we do measure, but for this workshop I'm just going to keep it kind of simple and do them relatively freehand. Often you don't have time to do a lot of measurement. So from here we can start carving windows in and create kind of a facade of windows in this village home, which is going to be pretty cool. I like the idea of this top window actually being pointed at a perch because of the roof line. So I'm actually going to create that one to be a pointed arch. And then these others, the first cut's a little bit of a 45-degree that respects and preserves the outside edge, and then I dig deeper for the other cuts. And that's how we essentially create a village building, the massing, and the window layout, and then we'll show you a few tricks about what we can do with the windows and some other aspects to this village building as it hits the ground that's come from. Okay, I've cut most of my windows in now, so I've essentially cut them in, cleaned them out. I think I'll heal these setup lines unless they're specifically going to be part of the facade's architecture. They're probably more distracting than helpful. And any parts of these windows that kind of got broke, I can grab a pinch of sand and kind of try to heal them up a little bit. Remember, I'm grabbing more sand than I need because I'm going to come back and shave away. There we go. So this facade's looking pretty cool. I like to turn the windows around the corner. So in this case you can see part of this facade over here, and we're going to want to add a couple of windows to this part of the facade too. And we essentially want to put them at the same elevation as the windows on this side. Alright, so I think that covers what I wanted to cover in video number 3. If you enjoyed this content, smash the like button and subscribe. Stay tuned for video 4. And if you haven't seen the first 2, go check those out. In the first video I show the kinds of tools we use. I show all of these tools, a lot more of them than what you've seen here. And it's a good orientation to the whole series to see the first one. So with that being said, we'll see you next time for video series number 4. Stay tuned. Bye.